Alright, it is a Tuesday, 9:29 a.m., November the 16th, and the watch list is kind of big recently, but AABB could be a morning panic bounce play, some kind of uptrending setup based off of VWAP. TGGI could be a morning panic bounce play. Maybe it can try to turn around, but this one looks like it might try to head towards the downside if it doesn't try to do anything nice. RGBP could be a reversal day, but this one and IND I don't necessarily really want to trade unless it does something super clean. I am going to focus on morning panic bounce plays. In the meantime, in the morning, HYSR could also be a morning panic bounce play. DPLS is a recent runner, although a former runner if you look back. Maybe if it does something off of VWAP, I'll be interested. Probably not a morning panic bounce play unless it looks super clean. ILUS, maybe a morning panic bounce play. It depends on how it trades. And did I see OZSC? This would be an uptrending setup too, but I'm probably going to be super cautious with that one because that one likes to have those like random turnarounds. So that's what I'm going to be looking at in the meantime. Alright, it is 9:45. I had two trades. They were both losers, but I barely lost anything. I lost $1.10 on one. And on this one that I just traded here, I lost just 2 pennies. So let's go ahead and go over it. Let's go over this one first. You can see there's just a lot of people on the ask. There's a lot at 429, and they have hidden size. There are too many people on the ask that are selling. Maybe they're short sellers. Maybe they're people who are very scared. I don't know, but I decided to get out because there's just too many bullies on the ask. And although 425 is trying to hold, I just didn't really want to be a part of something that I have seen fail a lot of times. Although this one could very well turn around and head towards the upside and maybe break 429 and get back to the 43s. I just didn't really like the way it was trading because there are just too many people who are selling their shares. And I was long this. Now they're trying to do a spread. Let's see if they can actually break out with a spread. Basically just keeping the ask at its level at 429 and then having the bid very far away. But my entry with ILUS was at 4251 and that was at 941. Right here, this was a morning panic. It had a bounce, and then I thought, alright, this could be a morning panic bounce play higher low setup. And my risk level is if it were to have broken here, and then worst case scenario it breaks 42, and I think I had it at 41.5. So I did trade a small position because I'm using that $8 risk level. And I was in it again at 941 at 4251. I was in at the bid, and I sold basically at the same price, but just a small difference in the price actually led to 2 pennies, which is a 0.01% loss, which is absolutely nothing. Let's see if 429 is going to break now. We have a big bidder now. Yeah, this is nice. It's at 434. This isn't the first time I've seen this with ILUS, or maybe it was AABB. It just felt like some idiot short seller under VWAP was trying to bully the stock with a lot of size, and they get squeezed. This setup worked, but I just didn't want to hold through this because it really looked like there was a good chance that it was going to break under. I'm not going to be like, oh, I wish I kept holding on to it. I'm actually just fine with my sell, even though it is at 43 now. Let's see if it can actually do anything like else. No. Alright, anyway, my sell was at 945 right here. Basically at the bottom, again at the same price. I got a nice entry at the bottom. I sold at the bottom too. Just a small difference in price. Just a lot of bullies on the ask with a lot of size, which is fine. And let's look at the other one. I did trade AABB for a morning panic bounce play, and in this one I was a bit too. This might still be interesting to trade, honestly. Let's just see in theory. I'm probably too late, but in theory, 18.5 breaks and I sell at 18. I had the wrong ticker. Let's just guess my size. And then, you know, if it breaks 18.5, I get on at 18. 270, the 282, so that's $12. That's a bit too much. We're in at 188. That's $8 risk. Too many people on the ask. There's a 100K seller I don't like looking at. We do have a bidder at least. This could be a morning panic bounce play higher low setup. I'll basically cut it if it breaks below the wick. And with slippage, maybe I get a sell at 18. That's my $8 risk level. VWAP is pretty close at 19.2. Yeah, this could work, but there are just a lot of people on the ask. It could still work again, like ILUS kinda did it. There is a big bidder now. Again, hindsight would say keep holding the position, only sell if it breaks your risk level, but with that ugly price action, the way ILUS was trading, it just looked like it was going to head down. More often than not, it would, with the price action it was having. I would be in this trade. I just don't like how many people are on the ask. And it doesn't even have that much range. It could still do something though. OZSC is down. I wouldn't necessarily trade this for a morning panic bounce play, but this is something where you can play off of 64 breaking. It does have nice range because VWAP is right there. There's a big seller there too, but this one might actually do it. Yeah, this one's nice. This one's better. Maybe if I was looking at OZSC right now, I would have been in. Just a lot better than the other ones we're looking at. And we might break 18.8, but then there might be just another big seller at the next tick higher. But this one can still do something. There is hidden size on the bid. I don't like how VWAP is downtrending. There's still a good chance I might get in this trade. Yeah, there's just too many people selling, but this could very well work out. And there's a big one at 18.9, although it might not be real by the time we get there, if it gets there. Yeah, there are just too many people trying to sell at the ask. There is hidden size. The bid isn't actually that weak, but there are just too many people at the ask. And it did just break this level too, but you know, it could try to turn around. Yeah, I'll probably not trade it just because there are too many sellers on the ask. Just like ILUS, although it did work here at least a little bit, you know. I mean, in theory, I had 500 shares. 217 would be if I were to sell right now at the ask, or 216. I'd be up just $4 because I did get a good entry right at the bottom here at 941. It just took a while. It's not even looking that nice after it's broken this 43 level. Some stupid short seller just had a lot of shares trying to bully in it under VWAP, which is idiotic, but who knows, maybe they ended up being a short seller with a lot of size for doing something right in the day trading world. I wouldn't be too interested in this one. I think just to call off this recording at the time being, let's just do like entry, risk reward, hindsight 2020 with OZSC. The ask was 676, so let's say that was my entry. 338, and I have an $8 risk level. If 64 breaks and I sell at 64, 63 is pretty close. Let's just say 62. Yeah, worst case scenario, sell at 62. 338, that's 310, so I'm too much size. And then let's go back to 676. 202, and then if we go to that level right at 62, yeah, 62 flat. 202, 186, still too much size, so maybe 2,000 shares, which would be tiny. But you know, I like playing worst case scenario because when you do that, it normally doesn't happen. It's like a secret rule with the universe. I'm just kidding. 676, 135, and then if we go to 62, worst case scenario, this level breaks at 64, and it just has a panic that you sell into. 135. Yeah, this would be probably the amount I would trade. It's $11, so a little more than what I would normally risk, maybe 1,500 shares, but that's trading now super small. But I like that just because, you know, you play an extra safe. 676, that's 101, and then, you know, 62. Yeah, this would be it. I would trade 1,500 shares, and by the time I did that, the setup's already too late. But you know, maybe I could try to get the bottom. If I get the bottom at 6.5, right, and I'm risking 6.2, well then I get to be a lot larger because, you know, I got in at a much better price. This thing trades with a lot of range. It doesn't seem like much, but this thing was 87 and then it drops to 64. This is a considerable morning panic. I just wasn't really there when it was happening. I was looking at AABB and ILUS. They were both depressing. At least this one did get to 43. It's still not looking that nice, but I could have been profitable there with ILUS. I just, you know, had to have held it longer, but I did not like the price action, but it did do it at least. AABB, let's take a look now. This is looking really bad, although it could very well turn around at any point. I don't like how VWAP is now downtrending, but I'm sure it'll make a move I'm sure it'll make a move towards the upside. I just don't like it anymore. I'll make an update later. There's nothing that I really like, but maybe OZSC, if it makes a nice move and then it heads back down, makes some kind of a dip, maybe it plays off a VWAP, something like that. I'll be interested in that for sure. Alright, it is 10:05 a.m. I want to make an update. I actually realized I never went over my first setup, which was AABB. I do want to note this. This is a pretty incredible short trap. This thing was looking depressing. It was holding this wick right here. Just barely held it right here. Look at the volume too, so that might have looked scary. It might have looked like it might have actually broken it. And then it's looking depressing, and then all of a sudden they decide to open up the ask, make the ask really far away above VWAP, and then it just extends above it, and you know, people are hitting the ask, and then all of a sudden the bid jumps up to like 19.1. So all of a sudden, imagine you're short this setup, right? It's downtrending, downtrending, downtrending. Maybe the bid in the ask is like 18, let's just say 18.53 to 18.6, and then all of a sudden You know, the bid goes to 18.6, which is fine, but then all of a sudden the ask goes all the way to 18.99 or 19.01, and then people start hitting the ask, and you're like, what the heck is going on? And then the ask heads up to 19.21, and now the bid moves up to 19. You're in a short trap. So all of the short sellers, all of these you know, dumb short sellers with large ask on the large size on the ask, trying to bully the stock down when the promoters or whoever's running this stock doesn't want it to, you know, all of a sudden they get trapped, and now they're bleeding. This is a pretty incredible move towards the upside. Yeah, that was a nice manipulation. Whoever was behind that, maybe it's just market makers, I don't know. That was a great squeeze, and I'm sure if it was like a market maker, they can see where everybody has their stop, especially the shorts, and just squeeze the heck out of them. That is incredible. That was a brilliant short trap. I was trading this back here 933. The thing ultimately is that I was too early, but I played it super safely. I was in at 1913 right here at 933 right here, because it looked like a potential level 2 reversal. I had my risk reward. I'm in at 1913, and I'm playing it off of 18.5. If it breaks under 19 and there's a lot of slippage, very, very conservative, you know, risk, just $8 risk level if it were to head all the way back down there, worst case scenario, which it did here. And you know, but it would have been, it's not like this was all one candle, this was 2 candles. So for an example, I'm in at 1913, and then 19 breaks, and it just has a big panic to 18.5, and then I get out there. That will be my max $8 loss, which is my dollar risk level. Totally fine, trading accordingly. So I was in at 1913. There was a lot of people at 19 at the bid, a lot of big people at the bid, and people were just still dumping their shares, just really unloading all their shares on the bid. And then it looked like 19 was going to break. So right before it looked like 19 was going to break, I got out at 1906. That was the same minute at 933. Yeah, I was in it right here. And then when it looked like it was going to break 19, because the bid just got super small from people just throwing their shares at the bid, you know, I got out before it broke that level, and that's how I lost 0.5%. Very safely trading. That's all I have for right now. Alright, it is 11:19 a.m. and I want to make an update. I totally deserved it, and I did not follow a rule when I short sell a stock, and that is when I want to short a stock, it has to be considerably above EMA 4, like it was back here when I traded AABB a long time ago, and I had like a really nice 7 or 8% gain. Just trading a small size, but making like, I think, $7 or $8. It was a pretty nice short on AABB, and I did have the issue here. As soon as I finished that last recording, saying that how they just made a nice short trap and really got it to squeeze towards the highs at 20, and then when 20 rejected, right, I was really interested in shorting this, and I did take a short position, but at no point was it above EMA 4 considerably, because when you short a stock that is not above EMA 4 considerably, short sellers with just like a few $1,000s of volume, dollar volume every minute, can just really manipulate the price to make it squeeze as much as possible, as they did something here. They had a big volume pump, and then if you see here, the volume right here is just considerable. All of these shorts are getting squeezed, and I thought excuse me, I thought I was a genius, right, shorting when all of the shorts got squeezed. And sure, maybe I was right a little, because I was short, that was at 1010, and that was right here at 1971, when it really looked like it was going to continue the downtrend, and it did. It got as low as this 19.3 level, so in theory it could have been covering best case scenario at 19.31 and have made maybe $4 off of the trade, because I'm trading a small size of $197, and I was interested in, you know, covering my position here, but just the way that the market makers or whoever traded it just really got me, you know, not wanting to chase the price action and cover poorly. And then it started the uptrend, and I thought, all right, well, it's going to play off of this level, and maybe I should have been covering here. But, you know, if it gets to my risk level, which is here, the day high, and on top of the day high breaking, you know, I did account for slippage at 228. When it did get there at 10:30, really brilliant price action. Just one injection of volume here led to this squeeze, a lot of shorts covering, and then another injection. And then, you know, I did see this, the shoulder, head, shoulder, and I thought this could be a head and shoulders, but I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. Well, I actually did, but not the same mistake twice in the same day of trying to short a stock that is not considerably above EMA 4, and they actually did squeeze it. So this was a pretty cool move. I wouldn't have even been long this because of the way they trade it. It makes it very hard, even for people who want to buy the stock and push it up, get in, because like they trade in a way that makes you have to chase it. And if I'm not going to be in at the price I want to be in, I'm not going to put any money into the trade. But it still made a nice move. And, you know, if I tried really hard or aggressively, there's obviously a chance I could have been a part of this breakout setup. But yeah, my cover was at 10:30, and that was right here at 2035. So my cover was right here because it did like get to the day high in this minute, and then I did get my cover at 2035. It actually closed right here where my cover was. It did get higher to 208, and yeah, sure, I could have maybe have tried covering later at the bid, but that would be totally against my plan of covering when that thing you know, reaches my risk level, because it could have kept going from here. It didn't. It made a downtrend. It looked like a, you know, head and shoulders short trap, and that was exactly the case. Pretty cool. This thing can do whatever it wants, and I only lost $6 because it was according to my $8 risk level, and you know, it didn't squeeze and get to 208. I did get a cover at 2035 when it did, you know, slightly break past this level here. I had my cover and went through at the bid, so you know, I didn't lose my full $8, and on top of that, you know, I didn't get squeezed either. Like, it didn't squeeze past the risk level either, so that's why I only lost $6 from this trade. And yeah, that's a great lesson. I could have been profitable again had I covered down here, but I was going for VWAP, and it did hold above it, so that was pretty cool. Very manipulative price action, very nice for long setups. And I think just to go over it, because I have a lot of work I need to do, I probably won't be looking at stocks anymore. As for my, you know, short setup, that should have been the case here. I shouldn't have shorted it to begin with, even if it was a short trap. That did work a little because of the fact that you know, it's not considerably above EMA 4. So I did try that morning panic bounce play. I don't regret it. I did that one very nicely. The turnaround was ugly. You can see just had just one big candle straight towards VWAP. But, you know, maybe I could have been in this one if I didn't trade it when it looked like it was trying to hold the 19 level, which is fine. And then my other trade with ILUS, yeah, I think I had that same problem that I did with AABB on the 11th, where it had a very similar setup. It was a morning panic bounce play higher low, just like here, and then when it looked like it was gonna break the tiny range that it was in, but not the day low, you know, I had that very conservative, very, you know, scaredy cat sell. I should have probably just held this setup, even if it were to have broken this low, even if there were a lot of sellers on the ask. Sure, hindsight is 20/20, but I just had the same trade with AABB on the 11th. Same setup, same case, where it kind of looked like it was going to break a tiny channel. That wasn't even my risk level. It did drop to my risk level on that other trade, but it never actually broke below it. So I should have been a lot more patient. Maybe if it was right at the low here and it looked like it was going to break it, that's not, that's not bad at all. Yeah, it's for sure. I should have probably have, not have been so scaredy cat. But I think with more experience, I can keep getting better with that. I'm probably going to be down like, I guess like $7 and like 80 cents or something like that, which is fine. This one did work out had I have held through, as it never really did break my risk level. I would have been profitable. And then had I have not traded AABB because it wasn't considerably above EMA 4, that would have been nice too. And then I would have been profitable that day. So that's all I have for right now. I'll make an update probably when the markets close. Again, I have a lot of work I need to catch up with. And yeah, that was some nice price action with AABB. The way they just make these moves with small amounts of dollar volume. Very, very cool price action to look and learn from, definitely. Alright, it is 12:36. I'm just about to leave. I got a whole bunch of orders prepared and I'm going to start fulfilling them. And I figured since it was a while, I just want to collect my thoughts on the setups right now just to see what happens afterwards. There's nothing that I'd really be interested in with DPLS, but it can just continue to put up higher lows in theory. And maybe it can try to run for more than just 2 days and do something considerable. Or maybe it'll fail, but again, I'd rather be interested in this one for a long setup. And this one is above EMA 4, so there is potential for downside, but eventually. Okay, this is nice with OZSC. This is a setup I saw a little bit. I like it when the stock is down so much, like at least 15% on the day, and then around 11 a.m. it does like a reversal. This is an inverse head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder. The only thing that kept me out of this setup is that I didn't see it, and number two, it was kind of weird the way it did it because it's like way at its highs. It wasn't it didn't seem clean, and then it had a big spike off in the morning. So this one was very weird, but I want to come back and see what this one does ultimately, if it can continue the uptrend and maybe hit the goal, which would be VWAP, which is considerable distance from give or take this 60-cent level to 70. That's more than 10%. So yeah, that's an interesting one. HYSR kept downtrending. This one did the 11 a.m. reversal too, kinda of a inverse head and shoulder, shoulder head, and then maybe a shoulder here. Maybe it went from 74 to 77. RGBP can do anything really. Ideally it can try to make a reversal at any point, but it is looking depressing like INND was. TGGI, this one did an inverse head and shoulders too, but it wasn't like down a considerable amounts. ILUS keeps uptrending, although maybe it's gonna do another OTC swizzle. But I just don't like how many days it has been stuck at its highs. It's almost looking bearish now instead of bullish or being right at its highs. AABB could be an inverse head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder. I'll see what that one does, but I would not be interested in trading it because it's way off of its highs, way above VWAP. DPLS, yeah, again, we went over this one. And IND, maybe this can be the actual reversal day. If it's going to reverse like this, I have no interest in trading that price action. Let's see what these things do later, especially looking at not DPLS, which one was it? The one that was down considerably, OZSC. Let's see if this one can try to maybe put a higher low at some point higher than here and then continue the uptrend. Alright, I am back. It is 6:30 p.m. and I am here to call it off. I think I'll be down like $7, maybe around the same amount I made yesterday, or maybe a little more, but it's gonna be basically break even with 3 trades. And some of these setups actually worked, like I think ILUS, but I don't know, I just get a little scared with the price action. In most cases ILUS wouldn't have worked out, and I did take a peek as for what was going to happen with OZSC, and if we just see it right now, this is very common, a stock that's down a considerable amount. I'm not sure if it actually closed at negative 21% or that's just from the moment I last had this open. And you know, a lot of them do have a nice downtrend. I have this rule here, morning panic or 11:30 a.m. tsunami panic. So, you know, this one was definitely a morning panic, but it also kept downtrending, looking bad. So it was like a tsunami type panic. And here was a reversal long setup, and it was an inverse head and shoulders. I like this a lot. I've traded it once profitably with a larger size. This is something where I actually don't have a problem trading with like a $40 risk, just because of the fact that it seems to be super profitable. Something that is more gradual, not volatile like it is in the morning, but something that offers a lot of opportunity. Let's take a look at it. I was thinking it could do like a higher low, although an ideal entry would have been the right shoulder here for inverse head and shoulders and the 604 level, give or take. Looks like we're gonna have to zoom in a little more, but yeah, it did put up a higher low at 611. It did get to 64, so 61 to 64. One more move to 66, so that's nice. You know, an entry at 604 maybe, you know, which is kind of like right at the ask, or 601, right here at 60, and it gets to 67. That's best case scenario. A more reasonable sell would have been 63. Still 5% on something that I feel very comfortable trading with a lot of size. It never got to VWAP 2. It did eventually fade, but there was plenty of chance to sell for a profit. I was not that convinced enough. I didn't have enough conviction to, you know, be a part of the setup. And when I did see it, it was a bit late. But there was that opportunity here. Maybe not at 60, but at 61 here. That little inverse head and shoulder second higher low off of here. The second higher low. I just didn't like the way it looked on the daily chart, but you know, maybe I can take something like this in the future. HYSR, nothing with TGGI, nothing really. RGBP, nothing at the end of the day. This one did work out. It held that bottom. I probably need to just be less scared. AABB, looks like it continued the squeeze. Actually, I got to 22, almost 23. Pretty cool. How does this look? That's not bad. Great lesson learned. Do not be short things. You know, do not be short things. If it's not considerably above EMA 4, DPLS had a panic, but it still looks good on a daily chart. Maybe you can keep uptrending for a morning panic bounce play. IND did have the reversal day, but I don't like the way it did it. Most of the move was in this time frame, you know, and then it just traded back and forth. I'm not really somebody to just trade random dips like that if it's not gradually uptrending or something like that. That's all I have. I think a lot of good lessons, a lot of things I have to keep working on. Yeah, definitely not bad at all. Let's hope I can get a better day tomorrow.